Angela. So I am so excited to talk about this topic, being more full versus less hungry. And so this just kind of came into my mind the other day regarding what's typically talked about when people want to lose weight. And I will say, I am also a member of the, fixation or fascination with like a new recipe, a new approach to something being filling and waistline supportive, delicious as well. But the thing I want to say is that I'm going to talk about both things, feeling more full and feeling less hungry. And why one is better than the other, the benefits of both, things to do to help in the effort, and then where you might want to put your attention. So what most of us do, and I realize this, like we have such an obsession with food. And often for those of us that are looking to lose weight, we almost have more of an obsession with food. And we're also always looking for like the next best thing, like the next fix, oh my God, like the next viral recipe, the next like Ninja Creamy, protein ice cream, cottage cheese wrap, like things that we can use on repeat that are delicious, that are waistline supportive. And the thing that I want to say is that's great, but it's also inherently flawed, because if we're still trying to manage our waistline with just better options for food, we're still reliant on sugar. So I've taken notes, I have a plan, and I hope that I make this really clear. So what most people are looking at regarding information is how to eat, what I eat in a day. I think it's the most ridiculous thing that fitness influencers share because it's not relevant for another person. My body is different than your body. Could be a great place to get ideas about food. But at any rate, that's what we're always looking at. Ooh, I should add pumpkin. Ooh, I should add squash. Oh, I should have cottage cheese. And again, there's benefits to it. But if what we're chasing is fullness, deliciousness, yes please, and essentially lower calories, potentially a better macronutrient profile, we're still working within a flawed system, which is we're still beholden to sugar, which means that we are hungry often, we have cravings, and we have energetic dips. So basically, being focused on being more full is smart, because if you are burning sugar, that's the only thing that you have. We can exercise as well, yes please, obviously, like sleep matters, reducing stress matters, water is consequential, but diet, food is the main mover regarding weight. So for a sugar burner, all we can hope for is to choose foods that have less calories, potentially less carbohydrates, potentially more protein, potentially more fiber, that keep us more full for longer. And so this is smart. This is a good place to be putting your energy. This will help with blood sugar regulation because you won't be needing to eat all the time. You'll be able to last longer. That's useful. And that helps with calorie control, really. And that matters in the realm of weight loss. So it's like perfect. Like that's a great tactic to take to lose weight. I'm going to talk about some of the foods that you might want to consider if you're trying to get more full with more of your meals. And so again, a lot of this stuff might be super familiar because it's basic. We're working within a flawed system, but this is the shit that is useful if you are managing high hunger, strong cravings, and energetic dips. So I'm gonna like shit on this. And recognize that like these are better food choices, potentially even for fat burners. But if this is the only variable, it's not that useful, okay? So some vegetables. So essentially we're thinking about things that are higher in fiber and lower in calories. So things like cabbage, that's like probably my number one. Broccoli is amazing. Cauliflower is great. Then a lot of influencers will talk about things that are slightly higher carbohydrate wise that are more filling. So things like squash, things like pumpkin. I am a big fan of sweet potatoes, honestly. And so for those of us like not a ketogenic person, lower carbohydrate, but not as low as keto. You do not need to be in a ketogenic state to burn fat. That is a very deep state of fat burning. That is a therapeutic state. The ketogenic diet was designed, created for children with epilepsy. So it literally affects brain chemistry. It is very therapeutic for certain populations, but we don't need to be there to be burning fat, okay? Lower carbohydrate is very useful. That's what fat burning is and does. So anyway, as someone that eats once a day, I need a certain amount of carbohydrates. We all need a certain amount of carbohydrates. That's my opinion. That's like above 50 grams. And people, for those of us who are more active and have less body fat on our frame, the more, like, there's more play with carbohydrates. And in reality, our carbohydrates should be in response to our activity level. So if you are a sedentary individual that has more weight on their frame that they'd like to lose, a higher carbohydrate diet is not useful. So anyway, but there's, depending on where you are and how much you need, I believe, my experience says that some carbohydrates are useful. Anyway, so sweet potatoes are my number one. And it's because they're filling. They're not crazy calories, they're not crazy carbohydrates, but there's some, and they last. Additionally, I'll say this to like fly in the face of most maybe like lower carbohydrate thinking or speaking, is that potatoes in general, like if you're gonna choose a carbohydrate, potatoes are freaking great. And so maybe like sweet potatoes are better, but potatoes are amazing. Potatoes are so filling. And so really, we wanna be more full. We want our food to get us full and to keep us full, because then we won't need to eat again. That, again, blood sugar regulation, and that helps with calorie consciousness, I'll just say, all right? Oats are something also that I find can be like pretty satisfying. I think even like the texture, the density, those can be a more fibrous food that can keep us full for longer if we are eating more carbohydrates. Some of my like bang for your buck foods, I find olives to be super satisfying. Pickles, I think, are great. Like, we're not gonna have a meal on pickles, but the combination of vinegar and salt and crunchiness, texture, like I just think it is such a great accompaniment to a lot of meals. Even things like avocado, I think is fantastic. That tends to even like be a little like fibrous, even though it's like a fattier food. And so, what was I gonna say? Avocados can be great. Nut butters, I'm a huge fan of. I eat peanut butter every day. I measure it, and then I put it over something that's larger. So I make like a dessert cake for myself every day. And I spread peanut butter over that, 2 tablespoons. And so it's like I get bites with bits of it in it, but I'm not eating half the jar, which I could, and I feel like it's easy to do that as well. Nuts and cheese are both fat burning friendly, but they are high in calories and they're not super satisfying. So so always measure that shit, or like eat it with abandon every once in a while. but they're not amazing choices for our waistline typically, unless we're conscious of the amount. Okay. We're just going to keep moving up the list regarding foods that are like great bang for your buck. They're going to make you feel more full for longer. Greek yogurt, I hope you all know this, cottage cheese, milk, cow's milk. And so basically, I'll say I would vote for no fat, low fat for the cottage cheese and the Greek yogurt. Milk, I think that can go any way. But milk, the reason why those three things are filling and make you stay full is because of the amount of casein that's in them. So casein is the other half of the protein that's in milk. Hi, Stacy. Hi, my dear. So milk has whey protein and it has casein in it. Greek yogurt and cottage cheese have high levels of casein. Whey protein is a fast digesting protein. Casein is a slow digesting protein. And so these foods that have it / have more of it will help us to feel full for longer. So it's just a good move. It's a good choice. Additionally, I will just say how to feel full, more full for longer. This is like the one variable that I feel like sugar burning has at its disposal, is to go for lean protein. So that's when we're talking about essentially we're just getting more protein for less calories. And if we care about our waistline, that can often be a good move. Number one, I'm going to say is shrimp. Shrimp is like, it will like knock everything out of the park regarding the amount of calories and the amount of protein. It has like 0 fat, which is why. So you're going to need to have something else that has a little more heaviness with it to feel satisfied. My opinion is that every meal to feel satisfying needs to be complete. And what that means is it needs to have all 3 macronutrients as well as fiber. So carbohydrates, protein, fat, as well as fiber. And so whether that's literally like we're having cheese and crackers and olives, it's like there's a way to do that makes it feel more satisfying versus just having crackers, just having cheese, just having olives even. Like, so if you start to think that way, you'll actually get more full even with just a slight reconfiguration of food. Be in touch if you have more questions about that. Tuna, canned tuna is like a freaking amazing choice. I will say that a lot of like bodybuilders will honestly eat like dry cans of tuna like directly from the container. We don't have to do that. I'm a fan of light mayo personally. I actually love, I'll say I should share my tuna recipe, which involves onion and relish and like pickle juice, light mayo, and some salt. And it's fucking amazing. I'm a lover of mayo. I don't know if you are as well, but straight mayonnaise, traditional mayonnaise is so heavy hitting, like 90 to 100 calories a tablespoon. And I don't know about you, but I know that, what was I gonna say? That basically, I tend to have like a tablespoon of mayo for a can of tuna. And so that's like minimum. But if we're using like the real deal hardcore stuff, it just packs a punch. So using light mayo, which is like 35 calories a tablespoon, is infinitely better. But adding in those other things, and Leanne, I'll say this, I'll share this recipe in our group sometime soon. But for like killer tuna salad, which is like to use light mayo, onion, relish, that's like not sweetened, and like pickle juice, is amazing. Okay. Things like ground beef and ground turkey with like a leaner choice is also a great move. One thing I will also say, and I think this is something that I encourage my fat burners to do, which is to see how things treat you, to see how things make you feel. And basically it's like, does this make me feel full? Does this keep me full? And so if you've ever had the experience of eating a fattier cut of meat and feeling like, whoa, like that was just like, I don't need anything, like for the rest of the week, like that was so filling, that can be a really good choice versus something that's pretty lean and that doesn't feel quite as satisfying. So my encouragement is to start lean and to see how that treats you. And if it feels like, like that wasn't quite enough, then maybe you add more fat into your meal. That can be a great option. Or maybe you adjust the dial slightly on the percentage of fat that's in your meat. All right? And ground turkey, beef is a really easy place to just adjust that dial a little bit. Okay? Like with a ton of like awareness and control. Additionally, I'll just say like higher fiber foods are very useful, but you need to kind of have this anchoring. And so meaning protein and fat is really the truth. When things are kind of lopsided, when it's like, I'm just going to have like something that's quite fat free, but that's fiber full, that doesn't tend to last very long. Like it'll make us feel full quickly, and then it will leave us quickly. And that's not what we're looking for. All right. So anyway, so those are some suggestions regarding foods that will help you to feel more full. But the thing I want to say, I'm going to sound like such an asshole right now. This is like basic bitch shit. This is like the stuff that you're going to find on the internet. This is like, in fitness influencers that you love, and like, they're pretty like Greek yogurt bowls and like chia seed pudding with, berries. And it's like, it's limited. It's super freaking limited. And the thing that I also want to say is that the younger you are, the leaner you are, and the more you're working out / the more weights you are lifting, the more allowance you have. Basically, your hormonal makeup is better when you are younger. Additionally, the more you have muscle on your frame and the more active you are and the leaner you are, basically, once again, you have more range for carbohydrates. So it's so disheartening to me when I see, these like super sexy, ripped, younger fitness ladies, influencers that are promoting a higher carbohydrate, more frequent food diet. And so when you kind of reach for that, because it's like, well, I want to look like her, like that looks amazing, but it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate for everyone. And so the biggest thing I would say, this is like a big, like tough love statement, is kind of like check yourself, meaning like, do I look like her now? Do I do the things that she does now or as a lifestyle? And if those things match up, then it's more reasonable for you to adopt the things that she's suggesting, the things that she does for herself. And if you're not, it just might be something to pause on, something to reconsider following for yourself to a T. Okay? And so basically, the more full piece, it's just limited. It's still beholden to carbohydrates. It's super easy to have fuck it moments when we're burning sugar. It's still easy to eat tons of the less ideal stuff. It's still easy to be beholden to the shit that is like the worst for us, whether that's Doritos or French fries or Oreos, or like pasta, pizza, cola. Like, it's still easy if the focus is still like, what are the foods that are just going to work the best? And the truth is, all of these things are less inflammatory. All of these food items that I just rattled off are better. They're better for our waistline. They're better for our health. They're better for our blood sugar. They will have a caloric reduction as options. all of these things that I stated, leaner proteins, higher fiber vegetables, you know, fats that are satisfying, you know, dairy options that have higher amounts of casein, all of this shit is a good move, except if this is the only thing that you're changing, you will still be beholden to carbohydrates, and that is inherently problematic. Okay, because basically, like, what this does, I feel like I'm just gonna be like a jerk tonight. This is like trying to put like lipstick on a pig. Like, we're just like prettying it up. Like, okay, well, this is like a better version of something that's not really great. Okay? Versus being less hungry. So typically, as sugar burners, I'm so glad I have the microphone tonight. I feel ready to speak, eager to speak. Because most of us are burning sugar, that's the only reality we have. We don't have an awareness that we could actually be less hungry. We're hungry often. We're hungry every few hours. And with that, it's like, so now the only thinking is just to have a better option, which is a good thought. But the deal is, you could be less hungry. And then not only would you be consuming less food, not just less calories, but you would not be beholden to the shit that is kind of undeniable. Like, we all have stuff. When we are burning sugar, which most of the planet is, we all have something that is like our kryptonite that we can't say no to. If we start, we can't stop. And then if we have like either like we get a little too hungry, or we're like kind of in this like frayed emotional state, at least for me, it's really easy to just go down hard and to say fuck it and to like, you know, fill our face with the thing that we kind of least want to eat based on our goals. All right? So when we're less hungry, what that indicates is that we are using our body fat for energy versus sugar. When we're less hungry, we are more reliant on our body fat than food for fuel. We're less reliant on food for energy, and we're more reliant on our body fat for energy. So when we're less hungry, we need to eat. We don't need to eat as often. We are happy to eat less often. It is obvious, natural, straightforward. We're just not hungry. And often our appetite actually reduces naturally as a byproduct of burning more fat. Because again, we are less reliant on food for energy, which sounds nuts, I'm sure, for those of us who are used to eating every time we have an energetic dip. We need a snack in the afternoon. We need coffee in the morning. You know, we need a little pick-me-up. That's sugar burning shit. And the reality can be radically different when we are burning fat. And so basically, when we are less hungry, that's indicative that we're no longer playing the same game, because the sugar burning game just has limited options and limited variables. And so it's like we are literally, like, the game has changed. We function differently. We have different needs. And we get different outcomes, which is pretty freaking great. So it's still useful to eat all the foods that make you full. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. And as a fat burner, generally with less carbohydrates, typically lower, not none. And also we still have carb feast. So then there are times where it's like a surplus, an abundance. But it's more consequential that you're running on your own body fat, making weight loss happen so much faster than just trying to reduce the calories in the food that you're eating that happen to feel more filling. So how do we become less hungry? So this is what I help people do. So How fat burners do it, how people that go through Fat Burning Pro and Fat Burning Pro Extended, how they do it is we go through a mitochondrial reconstruction. And what that means is we rebuild or repair mitochondria, the energy producing unit of our cell, to the tune that it can easily use our own body fat for fuel. And so it's a bit of a process. We do it in a way that is super elegant, comfortable, gentle. None of this, I'm just gonna like tape my lips shut and jump off a cliff and not eat carbohydrates where my body's like screaming for them, which tends to lead to a high level of discomfort and often failure. But basically, when we go through this mitochondrial reconstruction, we easily and comfortably use body fat for fuel. And that means we are less hungry, we don't have cravings, and we have plenty of energy. So it's really easy to both eat less often and to eat less food and to eat less carbohydrates when we are happily running off of our body fat. Also, when we go through this mitochondrial reconstruction, it naturally increases our metabolism. We have more energy units at our disposal that are burning a fuel that has 16 times more energy than the same molecule size of sugar, glucose. But additionally, we increase insulin sensitivity in this state, less hunger, more energy, less of our food stored as fat. Insulin sensitivity makes it easier to lose weight, harder to gain it. Plus, it helps with a whole myriad of health issues, in addition to things like diabetes and ultimately heart disease. And also, when we go through this mitochondrial reconstruction and we are using our body fat for fuel, plus many things that we do in Fat Burning Pro or Fat Burning Pro Extended, helps with estrogen balance. And so what that means is the storage component of what a lot of women wrestle with in terms of belly fat or challenges with weight loss don't happen because our estrogen is balanced based on the food that we're eating and our behaviors. So with that, I hope that is super clear. And the thing that I want to say is, if you're like, fuck this shit, Michaela, like you and your fat burning, I love my oatmeal and my eating, 5 times a day. Like, hi, Corey. I'm in the smack talk portion of the talk. If that is your thing, if it's like, I need to eat this many carbohydrates and I love berries up the wazoo, I love eating fruit, I love to put honey in my whatever, or to make like protein coffee, that's a no-no. That is not a fasting method or tactic. If you think it is, collagen in your coffee breaks a fast. Protein is the thing that really breaks a fast. Just know that. So if it's like, these are all the things that I love and I do and I think it's the right way to go, and it's like, fabulous, keep on going. And if you want to do that, then focusing on being more full is the way to do that better. Okay, so all of the foods that I rattled off before, so higher fiber, lower calorie, higher protein, more filling. That's the way to go. More stable blood sugar, less calories overall. That's a good move. But if you're like, this is limited shit, like I've been doing that. I've been putting the, certain squash in my eggs every day, and I'm using egg whites, and I'm, like making my protein ice cream, and I'm like so conscious about how much protein I'm getting, and like I work out all the time, like I'm doing so much and I'm still not getting what I want. Or it's like, this doesn't feel like an appropriate payoff for how conscious you're being. Or it's like, I still want more. I still want to be leaner. I still want to, like, I'm still crashing in the afternoon. I'm still finding myself reaching for cookies, even though I just had like, my quinoa bowl with like grilled chicken and, a balsamic glazed drizzle. Like, I'm still finding that I'm reaching for the stuff that I'm trying not to eat. What I would suggest to you is to see what fuel you're predominantly burning. So see where you fall on the sugar burning, fat burning spectrum. I'll leave our quiz below. This is where everybody starts. It's so illuminating. It's super helpful. It's something I request, like whenever someone wants to talk to me about fat burning, that's where we start, because it lets me see either like how bad things are, or if it's like, this isn't bad. Like, we're on a spectrum. So it's like we could be like a raging sugar burner, like hungry constantly, wicked cravings, energetic crashes, poor health, challenges with weight loss. We could be there, or we could be kind of somewhere closer to the fat burning side of things, which is like, you know, I can go many hours without food. I can just have, you know, a cookie or two and be all right. You know, I don't need coffee in the morning. Like we could be there. And so it can just be helpful to see, because then the thing that I'm going to suggest might be the way to get kind of fully established, fully, hi Jewel, hi my dear, fully or more deeply into a place where you're just more reliant on your fat, which gives you so much more freedom. So check that quiz out if you've yet to. And so basically, so if you are like, so check it out. If you're kind of closer to the fat burning end, which is like your score will be lower. And so essentially it's like, you know, if things are pretty good, but you're here because it's like, well, you know, I want to fine tune things. I want to, you know, whatever it might be. I want to feel healthier in general. I just want to do things that are supportive, Michaela. That's why I'm here. I just wanted to be supportive to you. That's why I'm here. And I thought this might be useful. So if it's like, if things are like pretty freaking good, weight's at a good place, hunger's like moderate, like you're not crazy, you don't need to like chew off an arm, you know, you don't get hangry, you're not like beholden to chips, sweet, starchy carbs, energy is pretty even. Like if you're in a good place, but you just want it to be better, my suggestion would be to make sure you're eating 3 times a day or less. Don't jump into anything crazy. Whatever you're doing, do a micro adjustment, do a slight adjustment. If it's like, oh, well, I've been having this snack after dinner, I guess I could just have that snack with dinner. That would be a great move. So 3 times a day or less. And or if you're at 3 times a day, what you could do is you could both, for both people, slightly reduce carbohydrates. And even if it's like, I'm just going to reduce them a little bit in the morning. I'm just going to take toast away. Like, what happens then? Or what if I have like 1 piece versus 2? Slightly reduce carbohydrates and make your meals less frequent. And 3 times a day is just a good place. Like, this is it. Put, even if it's like, I do love these chips, just have them with your meal. And then if you're like, well, that's where I've been, I'd like to kind of like take this up a notch, then what you can do is you could just push that first meal out. If you're like, okay in the morning, push that first meal out a little bit. Maybe it's like, maybe we get a little closer to like not having breakfast as much. So that's a way, like, if things are pretty good and you want them to be a little bit better in this department, to be a little more reliant on your body fat, those are like 2 very simple things. Reduce carbohydrates slightly and minimize meal frequency, 3 times a day or less. Okay? But if you check this quiz out and you're like, fuck, I kind of checked everything, you know, like I said yes to like frequent hunger. I said yes to like craving sweeter starchy carbs. I said yes to, you know, energetic crashes. I said yes to night sweats. I said yes to needing coffee. Like, it's like, oh shit. Then you might want to think about something a little more radical, like a little more of an overhaul. And that's what we do. Okay. So When you do that, when you go through this mitochondrial reconstruction, you literally change everything by equipping yourself to be able to use the fuel that you are meant to use. This is natural. We're all made to do this. Sometimes we just need a little help getting back to our factory settings, our more, I want to say, like survival-based wiring, really. We need to be able to store fat when we have excess food, so we can use it later, so that we don't die if we don't have access to food. So we're made for this, which is why it feels comfortable when we're doing it. It's fucking awesome. It's so freeing. I wish to help the world in this capacity. But when you do that, everything looks, functions, and feels better. It's amazing. Less inflammation, slows aging, we recover faster. Sugar is a metabolically dirty fuel, and fat burns a lot cleaner. So it's like, and it just goes on. When you are burning fat, I said this in one of our last interviews, I need to do something specifically on this. The nature of burning fat basically creates fat that is easier to lose. So we have white fat, if this is familiar, and we have brown fat. If you're here, you're probably up to speed with many things that are newer, more commonly known as well, though, in this health and fitness realm, weight loss realm. White fat makes us fat. That's like the jiggly fat that we want to get rid of. Brown fat makes us warm. When we burn fat, our mitochondria, because we're creating so much, we're continuing to create more and more mitochondria, we start to turn our white fat beige. And what that means is the presence of mitochondria uncouple, what do I want to say? The mitochondria become uncoupled when we are both burning fat and we have less insulin in our system. And so white fat is very tightly locked down, which is why it's hard for people to lose weight when they are burning sugar. More insulin, more tightly coupled mitochondria, less of them as well in this white fat. But when we are creating fat from energy, ketones from energy, hi Jackie, hi my dear. Basically, we have more mitochondria, which uncouple basically the fat cells, I want to say. So this beiging of our white fat naturally makes it easier to lose. And in the process also, as fat burners, hi Leroy, hi my dear, we waste more energy. So when someone has more insulin in their system, they're actually quite energy efficient, which is insulin stores energy. That is efficient, right? We have more of it. We've got more in our little backup containers. But when we burn fat, when we create ketones, when we create more mitochondria, we actually are more wasteful with burning, creating energy. So a sugar burner versus a fat burner expends less energy in general. They are very conservative with it. It's like, oh, I need to move, so therefore I will create and burn or expend energy. Fat burners are more wasteful. We create more heat even. So the nature of the fuel that you're burning affects everything. It's like not one-to-one. It's like apples to like rutabagas, like apples to seesaws. Like it's completely different. So anyway, making weight loss easier, making health like on repeat. So if that is of interest, please check that quiz out. Please see where you fall, and make that micro adjustment if you're like, things are pretty freaking good. Or let me try to do that and let me see what happens. Absolutely. But if you're like, I'm still banging my head against the wall, I'm still really hungry, I'm still having cravings, I'm still having energetic crashes, it's like I'm trying the foods that were supposed to make me full, but I'm still hungry. I'm still needing cookies. Let's help you to be less hungry. And then it's like, it just makes life and weight loss so much easier. It will save you time. It will save you money. It'll help your health. It'll help you to get what you want faster, more comfortably, and absolutely more easily. Okay, that's it. I hope that was freaking amazing. Please be in touch for any reason. I'll attach that sugar quiz, and would love to see if you check it out. All right, that's it. Thank you for being here. I hope this was amazing. Love to you, and until next time.